I'm always surprised when it works. Michael!
High five!
Oh, high five. Oh, my God. I can see where this is going to go already.
Guess what today is, Jamie?
It's fives. I'm going to speculate and guess that it's fives.
It's fives.
It's fives. So, how was your week?
It was fantastic.
Good. I haven't seen you all week, so we
That's
haven't
not
talked.
true.
When did I see you last?
I saw
Oh,
you.
that's right.
At your performance.
I played for 4 hours on Saturday, so that was fun.
It was.
I know. Hey, we got viewers already also. Hey.
Good to see you.
And you. Anyway, so
Yes.
we're doing fives
The
in
fives
tarot.
of the tarot.
Yes, so that's interesting because I was thinking about like when we first decided to do this, it just was an idea, it was an inspiration handed to us.
Right.
And then we had decisions to make. How do we want to do this? And then we decided to implement it. And so it's like we had our rocky starts, right?
Sure.
But then everything became stable.
And now it's...
And now everything is really rock solid, and I'm kind of bored with it.
So it's time
So
to...
I think I want to change it, Michael. I don't like the way we're doing this anymore. I'm bored. I don't like you anymore. I think I want to go ahead and bring in somebody prettier.
Oh, well. I won't complain.
Yeah,
as long as I get to stay too.
I mean, I don't know. I think we need to change up, man.
Well, you'll be happy to know that 5 is all about disruption.
Oh,
It's all about mixing things up.
is it?
It's the wait, there's more. It's you got the stability, but wait.
Yeah, but wait, there's more.
And it's all about bringing the spiritual is the next thing. It's like we know the material, but now it's the spiritual as well, and that's that's what the fives are. It's
Right.
it's
We are now in the middle of the numbers.
the
So,
middle.
You know, we've already gone through, and so we've had the trials and the growth from 1 through 4.
Yep.
And then that leaves us to go into the middle now of fives. And from there, it's almost more like a spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Up until we get to the nines.
Exactly. But this one's all about change and fluidity.
Yeah.
And you know, the next step, basically. A big next step.
Right.
Yeah.
And as I wrote here, up until now, we may have even felt like we were in control. I mean, look at the four of coins.
Yep.
But fives are a loss of control or a fear of loss of control.
Exactly. It's realizing that we are mere mortals and there is something
So
greater.
maybe change is needed.
Yes.
Maybe to get out of a rut. Maybe to change our mindset, our lifestyles, or our behavior. So what about in the elder days? So we have the fives, and
Right.
so 5 fingers, 5 senses,
5 toes.
5 toes.
You've got the pentagram in an apple. If
Yep.
you cut open the apple in half horizontally and hold it up, you've got the seeds in the pentacle. And that goes all throughout nature. You'll see fives.
And I knew you were going to mention the pentacle. Yes. And so with the pentacle also, because it can be compared to the human body, can it?
Sure. Yep. Five. Including the head. You got 5 appendages.
Yep. And what about the 5th element?
Right. Sure. So you got the 4 elements plus the 5th being spirit. So it's exactly right. It's like
the 5th element. It's the spirit. Yep.
So you've got the 4, which is the material, and then the 5, which is the spirit. It's the 5.
Right, and so we know about the other 4 elements. And
Right.
so the spirit, now that leads us into unknown
Charters.
territory.
Yeah, absolutely. But with the spiritual, you've got the connection to the 5 wounds of Christ, and the Muslims pray 5 times a day. The 5 pillars of Islam, which is declaration of faith, prayer, almsgiving, fasting, and pilgrimage. So lots of 5s with spirituality, which is appropriate.
Right, and I mean, so we have our 5 digits, we're bilateral, and so that obviously would have had to influence our thoughts of number 5. So I'm not a mathematician, but isn't our number system, it's based on tens?
Yeah, yep,
You
exactly.
know, so
Yep.
the same number fingers, same number toes.
Yep.
You know, which makes me wonder if we didn't have 5, if we had, you know, well, think about if we just had the
We were an alien race with 3 fingers.
with
or,
3
Yeah.
fingers, then maybe we would have developed a different concept, a different way of looking and counting at numbers and
Very
all
possible.
those other things.
Yeah. But being human that we are,
Some of us.
5 is the 5 is the number of the day.
So what else did you come up with
So
before we jump to the cards? Anything?
okay, so here's another interesting thing that ties into the whole religion idea. So religion, if you take the root word from Latin, religare, and it means to bond, to bind, to join again. So it's rejoining. You're rejoining with the divine, or with your higher self, if you will.
Okay.
But it's so religion is rejoining with the divinity.
Okay.
And that's kind of what the lesson is of the 5s in the tarot. So you have the Hierophant who teaches this lesson to his devotees, that hey, there's something more. It's the spiritual. You know, he does that as above, so below.
Well, if you want to talk about the Hierophant first, which
Yeah. Let's
okay.
let me
So
hold them up.
let me do the little bouncy thing. Boom.
So you see his fingers there. He's got the 2 up and 2 down as the Pope blessing, but that also means, you know, so as above, so below. And so he's teaching about the 5, the next thing to bring us out of the material.
But now, since we're going to talk about 5s and the challenges of the 5s.
Yeah.
So, you know, with the Hierophant, so the one thing I was putting in here is that the Hierophant is, you know, so what about the challenge? Because he's strict and stringent, and I wrote in here, inflexible and unbending, can cause a struggle with new and changing beliefs. He may be what we need, because he's also an anchor in a storm, or a teacher when we're lost. But again, you know, the whole thing is that when we are challenging our ideas, when we're challenging society, when we get into the other cards, we'll see that we are actually having these challenges. It is a power struggle.
Yes.
And with the Hierophant, it's specifically a power struggle in the negative aspect.
Or it could be he's challenging you. He's challenging you to grow your faith.
Or grow your faith.
Right.
And again, that's why I put in here to make sure that, you know, he might be what we need, because he may be that anchor in a storm, or a teacher when we're lost.
A teacher, exactly.
A teacher when.
Yeah.
So that is our adolescence.
Right.
And this might be, you know, when we do our adolescence, we're that 5.
Yes.
We're having that struggle.
Right.
And
there's
so-
always a little bit of friction when you're trying to exert your independence. You know, a bird flies the nest, you know, leaves mom and dad.
Rebels.
Exactly. So there's going to be a little bit of friction, a needed friction, so that they can grow up and be independent.
Right. And so with teenagers, the thing is to let them know, it's like, I may not love your behavior, but I love you.
Exactly.
You know, so you're going to challenge my authority. You're going to challenge this. And thank God I haven't had to deal with that. I have the greatest teenager anybody could ever have.
Yeah.
But I've done enough work with people, and I've worked at a psychiatric hospital and things like that. But it's hard to teach people and parents that, remember, it's like you love the person, not their behavior.
Exactly. That's
And make sure that person knows that.
right. That's so important.
You know. So yes. And so we have him.
Okay, but then it gets really interesting. So the next cycle is the 15, and that is the devil. And people are like, well, wait a second. What? Like, how is that related to the Hierophant? Here we got the Pope, and then now you're...
Well, that's funny.
And now you're comparing it to the devil? But, I mean, you look at the cards, and they're very similar, actually. You've got the 2, you know, people below, and him above.
Yeah.
But
you've got the same. You got the anti-hand gesture here.
Right.
You know,
right.
giving his own blessing. You've got the two students and the 2 people in chains here, who are his disciples.
Sure. But here's the thing. So this is where
And notice the keys.
yeah,
And this is why I like doing this, because, you have your keys here, and here the keys are binding you.
right, and
So
you're locked
even,
up. Yeah,
even in the same place where these keys make you free and these bind you.
exactly.
That's kind of cool, too.
So that's what I'm talking about. The devil, he's using trickery.
And we should also explain why we're saying this is 5. So
Okay, yeah.
both me and Michael agree that instead of doing the where you take the number and then you times that, so this would actually be 10 plus 5 is 15, 1 plus 5 is 6, and that's how you break it down.
Right.
No, we believe that in the cycle, and
that's one way of looking at it.
you go 1 through 10.
We prefer
and each one's a cycle of 10.
cycle of 10.
So
Very Pythagorean, because
Right.
they and numerologically speaking, we're taught to think in groups of 10, like centimeters and millimeters and stuff. It's
So after the Wheel of Fortune, then you start 1 over again, and that's why we're at the 5 here.
Right. So this is so the Pope being 5, the Devil being 15. So it's at that 5.
And this actually kind of backs that up too, because I mean, how obvious is
so
this?
so obvious, exactly. But here the devil is tricking you to understand. You're overcoming a trial for a deeper understanding, because the devil is saying, okay, if you didn't get the message from the Hierophant when he tried to teach you, I'm going to teach it to you, but I'm going to teach it to you in a different way. I'm going to teach it to you in a smack up the side the head way instead of just a nice teacher. So it's taking it up a notch, but it's the same lesson that was openly taught by the Hierophant. It's now taught with a little bit more force with the devil, but it's basically saying, hey, the material isn't all there is. Do you get it? There's something more. If you don't get it, you're going to be in chains here and you're going to be in trouble, because I'm teaching you the same lesson that this guy was teaching.
Right, and essentially, and I have in here again, and it just kind of brought up, and I didn't read it, but it's like adolescence. So I'm saying the 5s, and I was looking at this because the 5s represent our adolescent growth in a situation, our rebellion. 5 asks us to break away from boredom offered by stability, and 5s cannot be boxed in. So here we have, when you are, by the time you reach 15, it's like you've gone through this cycle. It's like now you need to make a determination. This is the card where we are rebelling. This is our addiction. This is where we realize all those things that we need to break free from.
Exactly.
And it's a challenge, and we fight it.
But
fight back. We want to stay in the bad relationships.
Sure.
We want to keep using drugs. We still want to. And so, but again, the same way that the Hierophant is challenging you, this card is now challenging you to look at it, because, again, when you reverse this card, you'll see that these chains are so loose.
Right.
They will just fall off your neck.
Yep. You could easily slip out if you have the willpower. But that's just it. The devil isn't really super evil. He's actually a friend in disguise. He's saying it's more of like tough love, but he's not going to sugarcoat things. He's going to,
Well, now we're going to go down the whole philosophical thing, because I look at the devil as our self-will run riot. I look at it as the mindless something, that thing that we can't control, that takes over our lives. But that's a lesson. But that all of these things I'm saying that So I don't see him necessarily as a benevolent being
he's not.
To teach us something.
Yeah,
because that's when you're saying, it's like that's when you go to church and say, why do bad things happen? So that you can learn something.
No. It's I mean, yes and no, but it's it's more than that. But of course.
Yeah. So we'll go back and do the devil.
Yeah. Another time.
Yes.
Well, But anyway, moving forward, now that but before we move forward into the pips, I like to mention my deck that I'm creating.
Yeah, Mike, what even started this whole gosh darn thing?
It's one of the other reasons we do this is, so I'm creating a special 100 card deck, and it's got extra majors that I've found these historically weeded out cards from earlier incarnations of the tarot, and I'm putting them back in. And so my 25th card, the third cycle, so you have the Hierophant, you have the Devil, and then the 25th card is the Grail, the Holy Grail. So it's the illumination of the eternal is granted by drinking from the Grail. So it's that lesson yet again, but like on an even higher level of here, drink and you will have illumination. You know, that you'll really get the lesson now.
Right.
There is spiritual as well as the material. So that's my third layer
Gotcha.
card.
Gotcha.
But now let's rewind and let's go into the pips.
You ready for that?
The ready day over the everyday life.
Okay, so I know that you like going through at a particular order.
Yes, let's start with swords.
You want to start with the swords?
Yes, please.
So,
All right. So the
look at this badass.
he
He showed them.
He is. So this is the Lord of Defeat, and it's representing
The Lord of Defeat. Where'd you get that from?
So these titles are the official titles given in Book T and
Okay.
yeah
Because
Golden
it's
Dawn.
interesting to see where you. Yeah. Okay, so
I've
the
been-
Golden Dawn sees this as
The Lord of Defeat. Yes.
The Lord of Defeat. Okay.
Exactly. And they associate this as Venus in Aquarius. So you've got Venus, which is love, and you've got Aquarius, which is more love, universal love, the higher love. So you've got love and love, and yet this guy is looking like he's, taking advantage of the situation. So what's this all about? So he's this cruel guy. He's exploiting the situation for ill-gained advantage. He's collecting swords at the end of a battle for maybe to sell them again, maybe to use them again. But these guys are all sad because they just fought, and he's like, "Hey, it's payday. I'm gonna get these swords." So what's this about? We must be aware of our arrogance, and dealing with the inner demons. He goes, just because you think it doesn't make it so. Because this is a thinking card. Swords are all thinking, right?
Yeah.
So just because you think it doesn't make, he's got that. It's interesting that he has two swords in his hand here, and that connects it to the Two of Swords, which is reminding us to have balance between winning and losing, because pride can be a vice. Mm-hmm. So he didn't get that memo. So he's collecting the additional swords. He should be thinking of the two, but he's not, and he's picking up all these swords. This is a negative because it's a hard suite. So he's not getting the message of the 5.
So you know how I see it?
How do you see it? Yes.
And this is the card of ego.
Yes.
This is the card of ego, and so the whole thing is that with the twos, we're making a decision with the swords. We have this choice to make. A third sword comes in, and it can be either good or bad, but finally a decision is going to be made one way or the other, and we can finally rest.
Right.
And so then we sit there and we make this decision that we know what's better than anybody else. We have made this decision. This is somebody here who's saying, I would rather be right than you be happy.
Exactly.
This is
taking advantage.
This is my ego coming in. And in reality also, when doing a reading, and I've done this before, because when this pops up, it's interesting, because ask the person who they relate to.
Right.
Because
Are you
some people will
relate to this person.
They'll go right down to the people who are defeated. It's like, well, I feel like, I do everything I'm supposed to at work. I'm supposed to do all this. I'm supposed to do all that. And yet, I'm the small one here.
Right. And that's actually a good thing, because this guy's getting the message all wrong. As you say, he's all about the ego and the arrogance and valuing the material over the spiritual. This isn't good to steal.
It's not that he's stealing. It's that he is so egotistical by this point. We're midway through, and just like any adolescent who's midway through to adulthood, they know everything.
Right.
Try and convince them they're wrong. And the worst thing that can ever happen, especially with an adolescent to an adult, is if the adolescent is right. That is the worst thing that could ever happen. When that adolescence is right, this is what they look
They
like.
become this, yes.
You know? They're like, I am so right and I will never let you forget this. Neener, neener, neener.
I've got all the swords.
So
Yeah.
when this comes up in a reading, though, it is about the ego, and it's about how are we handling a situation? Are we handling it
The wrong way?
egotistically?
Yep.
Are we, are we so locked into having to be right
Yeah.
that we're not analyzing it and realizing the harms that we're doing to others?
Exactly. Yep. And with the Marseille, you've got the sword going right through these other swords, right? So it's so you've got this disruption again.
Yeah, so you've got the serenity of the fours. So
Yep.
when you're looking at the fours, you have this serenity of, once again, if you look at this, it actually kind of looks brutal. I mean, it's coming through. The sword's a
breaking
bright
through.
red.
Yep.
You can see it's going through different layers, so it has to be forced through. We even have a red spot down here. We're seeing that this is a entry point and a wound.
It could be.
But this is because it's about thought, and
Yep.
it's about, because swords are thinking
Yep.
and thought.
Yep.
This is
Breaking through a
this is
stalemate.
our opinion.
Yeah.
This is us forcing our way through.
Forcing through, yeah. But again, it could be, it negatively speaking, it's disruption. But the positive aspect is it could be disruption to add the spiritual. That's the good lesson that you can interpret from this card. The guy collecting swords obviously is not getting that message, but with the Marseille, it's a little bit more fluid, and you can see both ways.
Right, and the thing is that there are no positive cards, there are no negative cards,
Exactly.
there are everything.
Exactly.
So the thing is with the 5 is that what lessons are we taking with it? Because this is a card about power, and it's a card about ego, and either we learn the lesson,
Yep.
or we don't go forward. We don't go to the 6s.
Exactly. Yep.
We don't move forward, so that means we have to take a look at where were we, what in the 4s, what in that stability, what was it that we did not finish,
Right.
And so we come in here unprepared with the 5s. And if we want to move past the 6, we need to understand why we're unprepared. We need to understand this anger. We need to understand why we are so selfish.
Right. And get beyond the selfishness by realizing that it's not all about you, that there is more. That's the 5.
Right. And so if I even had in here, what I ended up writing down as I was going through is that 5s show us the stability of the 4s was not a conclusion in itself. So some people look at the 4s, like the 4 of Swords, and you have that meditation. You have the 4 of Cups, where you're sitting there and it's like, this is how it's always going to be. And it's like, and you have the 4 of the coins with the king sitting there, and it's just like the ultimate and stable.
Right.
But that is not a conclusion.
No.
So the positive side of the 5s
Is that you're breaking out of that. Yep.
The positive side is that we realize that 4 is only a period of stability that we either grow from or we become stagnant. Therefore, unlike the 4s, which are opposed to change or resist disturbance, we may find that cards like 5 of Swords
Is actually very good because
and the 5 of Wands embrace that change.
and change is good. So that's very
This
positive.
is why I actually like going through the cards like this, because
Absolutely.
it's like, I hadn't thought about that, but it's like the stagnation of the 4s is why we need
the 5.
the 5s.
Absolutely. Yep. And okay, and then Crowley's Thoth deck. So he's got this disruption of thought happening. He's got these damaged swords, and if you look closely at these swords, they're all nicked up. So they're damaged from, and they're of course forming the upside down inverse pentagram. So that's obviously very negative as well. So again, with it being linked to love and love, what's this all about? And so Venus and Aquarius, it's like two pacifists at the wrong party, right? And it's going to equal defeat. And so that's what Crowley names this card, is defeat. And well, another interesting thing that I really like about this card is if you look closely in the background, you'll see Frida Harris has made these swastikas, and she was making this deck
Where? Oh, I see.
you
Right
see 'em?
there, yeah.
So she was making this deck at the time of World War II. So I like to think that she was creating exactly a defeat for the Nazis, associating the swastika with the card for defeat as kind of like a subtle, like, yeah, screw you.
I'll cast a spell on you.
Exactly. Nazis bad. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's disruption of thought with the swords.
Yeah, and so the big thing is with the swords is that realizing again that it is about ego, but it's also about learning from that and breaking through.
Right.
And you have to have you can't live in the forged because you can see the discontent in the Four of Cups.
Yes.
You would think he has everything under the sun.
But he's apathetic.
He's apathetic because emotionally and everything else.
If he'd only looked behind him and he'd get that cup from the divine.
You know what? Even if the cup was handed to him, he's like, great, 4.
No,
because he realizes that there's more.
Well,
And so he's
but that's the whole idea of the divine hand holding the cup. It's this spiritual that he's got his back on. He's not aware of what is coming.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so again, so I don't put any of the esoteric on stuff. And so and Pamela Coleman Smith, these are beautiful cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just see as the 4 is like, again, either you grow or you rot. And that's even with the cups.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of cups, so let's go into...
Would you like to get the cups?
Let's do 4 of Cups. So, here we have...
we have Batman.
He's actually the Lord of Loss in Pleasure. And this is Mars in Scorpio. So Mars rules Scorpio, and Mars is like the desire for nature, that kind of thing. And Scorpio rules death and rebirth, so you're mourning the sorrow of this transition, that kind of thing, that this change that is happening here. But you look at this card, and just looking at it, it gives us all the clues are there. So depression can be blind us from seeing the good that remains. He's got these 2 cups here that are perfectly fine, and he's all concentrated on the ones that are knocked over. You've got the gray background, and we know that gray is wisdom, but it's wisdom with sorrow. So it's kind of like the sadder but wiser. And you've got this flowing river, which symbolizes that all things must pass. And you've even got this bridge over troubled water, which suggests that we can move on if we just let it go and move on from this defeat, this loss of pleasure, this sadness, and get out of our depression and go across the bridge to the go visit your friend or whoever is in this building over here.
Yeah, and so when we look at this, and that's exactly it. But this is a card for us that we need to be able to move on to 6. 6 of Cups is one of the most beautiful cards in the deck.
Right.
But he needs to, you have this...
He's in the funk.
I'm going to say you have a superficiality of the 3s, because that is the 3 coming together with the cups, and you're growing and things like that, and there's a celebration there. But without something deeper and you move on, that gets tiring. And so this is almost with the 5, it might even be, here he's offered 5 cups, and he might have even kicked these over because it's like,
party's
that's
over.
Not making me happy.
Yeah, the party's over, man.
I need more of a spiritual growth. I need something. Maybe I need to go back to the 2s.
Right.
Maybe that's the problem here, is that, You know, I could have 50 cups and still not be happy.
Still not find balance.
Spiritually, because he's in the middle here.
Yeah.
So he's making his journey. And so maybe that's even his house. And maybe he's realizing that, you know what, I'm going to take these 2 cups and I'm just going to mourn my loss for something better. That's one way, and I'm a storyteller. The other thing is the fact that it's like, yes, most people interpret this as I had these, you know, I had these things and I've lost them. Right. And he's so lost in that depression and that the melancholia that he doesn't realize what he still has.
Right. It's a very sad card. I remember my wife, you were giving a reading to her one time, and this card came up, and she started crying. I mean, it's just this card has a powerful connection, and when you are feeling a loss of pleasure, it connects with you on a very deep level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's
But it really is one of those things that we need to allow ourselves, because if we get stuck in the 4s and we get stuck in the 5s, then we lose the joy that we will get by moving. You know, when we're in the middle of a 5, it's hard to believe that things will get better.
Right.
But again, we're only halfway through. It's not an ending.
Right. This too will pass.
This too will pass.
Right.
There's something behind you that you don't even see, and then when you walk across that bridge finally and you go to that little garden inside this building here, you're going to see somebody from your past.
Right.
Or you're going to have some revelation just handed to you, and you're going to realize that
it gets better.
That everything you thought you lost, you've actually gained 10 times more.
Exactly.
And it's beautiful.
It is.
Oh.
So in the Marseille, we've got the 4 cups surrounding this 5th one. So it's breaking through this new idea, breaking the stalemate of the 4, which is right on point.
or you have the stable 4 here, and you have 1, and he's in the middle, and it's like this one here can't grow. There's no place for this one to go. These 4 are on the outside, and it's like they don't realize what's going on the inside, because they are isolated from this one right here, aren't they?
But the vines are growing, and
the vines are growing, and that's great.
Yeah.
But these are isolated here, and then he is trapped in the middle of these 4. And so this might be that sense of isolation, you know, where after a while we start feeling stagnant. And he wants to come out. He
wants to break through. Yeah.
He wants to come out, and he wants to break through. These guys here can just walk away anytime they want, but this is that seed of an idea.
Right.
And
it's
he's
being
stuck
boxed
in the middle,
in.
and he's boxed in, and he's got the beautiful. He'd be happy. I mean, he's got this little growth coming here, and he's got no, the other 4.
Yeah. Or almost like sentinels.
He's seeing that.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I want that too. And they don't even see him because they're behind their own walls.
Right.
They're looking out, and he's stuck looking in.
Indeed. Yeah, it is.
And that's so. And with the Marseille, so the whole thing is that I like reading intuitively. It's like I have no clue what this card's going to mean until I have 2 other cards beside it.
Right. That's
the Marseille. A lot of people are scared of the Marseille. Are they? You know, not that they're scared, but they wonder. You know, who can read them? How can you read them? Why can't you read them? But I strongly suggest that if you understand that the numbers actually are a path in itself, as I described, we have 1 to 5.
Right.
We've reached a middle point in our journey. If you can realize what 1, 2, 3, and 4 mean, and then
it's what comes next.
Cups are about emotions. Cups are spirituality.
Right.
Then you can tell a story. You invent a story that goes with this. I made up that story on the spot about what I sensed based on what we were talking about. I don't know if anybody else has ever said that ever, or if it was ever written in a book. It's what I felt.
Exactly. And that's the best way to read. So it's knowing, it's having the knowledge of numerology. It's having the knowledge of the elemental influences in your pocket so that it helps you weave the story. But when you're looking at this picture and then remembering those things and then making sense of it, and then of course relating it to the other cards in the spread, and that's where the magic really happens. But yeah.
You know what? I actually just realized that this could also be the card of the wounded soul.
Sure.
Because look at this. So here we have in the middle this wounded soul. And we have 4 protectors here. He doesn't see the isolated. He doesn't see the beautiful flowers. So it's almost like he's in a sick bed or something like that. So he's being taken care of, doesn't realize it. So it's almost like it's a wounded soul in here in this beautiful situation. But he's number 5, and so, he doesn't see the protectors. He doesn't see the joy that's actually in this card.
But if he does wake up and see it, I mean, these flowers.
Then he's gone on to number 6.
Well, no. I mean, if he wakes up and gets the point, then these flowers might be reaching around to give him a hug. I mean, it's a hug. So it's like, it's
yes,
yeah.
No, absolutely.
The support is there,
and again,
the support of the 4 that is there. But if
he's a wounded soul.
Exactly.
This is the guy standing there who's lost the other 3 cups, and he doesn't realize that he has these people around here to support him.
Yeah.
So, read your books.
Right.
Read the keywords,
and
then throw it away.
All right. So here in the Crowley,
I feel all sad.
So in the Crowley deck, this is called Disappointment. Obviously, the same theme carries through, but we've got that an inverted pentagram again. So batter over spirit. This is no good. But the lotus blossoms have been blown away by the hot wind. See how they're like. So they're no longer wilted as they were in the 4s, but they're now, it's like a red hot wind is just kind of blowing them to kingdom come. And the sea down here is stagnant and sickly because we need to get out of the muck. But that's what this card is all about. It's the same themes, just illustrated just a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, fun stuff.
Absolutely.
All right, ready for wands?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey-ya! Oh no, I'm not ready. Yes, I'm ready. Ooh, oh boy, yeah. Hey.
This is the Lord of Strife, Saturn in Leo. So Saturn is karma, and Leo is the noble heart. So.
Oh, and by the way, you don't need to know because I don't know anything about astrology. I don't
Sure.
use astrology in my card readings
Sure.
or anything like that. But if it helps you to identify with a card, that's awesome. Anything that helps you to understand it more deeply, use astrology, use counting toads, do whatever works for you.
It's like I always say is that the more baggage, the more tricks you have in your bag, the better.
Yeah, it's all about the correspondence.
Exactly. And you can use them or not use them depending on the reading and depending what moves you, depending on what you remember at the given time. But knowledge is power. So anyway, this is the Lord of Strife, and there's an active protest and debate going on, but it's a struggle between friends. These are not nobody's actually making contact. This is play fighting. So this is a challenge of different bold ideas to collaborate, but there can be powerful results when accomplished. So surrendering to compromise can make overall objectives stronger and more assured of success. So the idea is you got a lot of smart people in the room and they all have great ideas, but stop fighting.
Right.
Listen to each other, and you'll be better off for it.
Yes, and so Pamela Coleman-Smith, she has her snapshot here, and remember that these are just to give us a reminder of what this may mean. And in her snapshot that she has of this much larger movie, these people here, they're not hitting each other. They've all got their own ideas. This could even be playful, kids with, sword fighting. Or this could be, this is my idea, this is my idea, this is, just everybody putting on a show.
And they're all, this is Fire Wand, so it's action. They all want to take action, but they're debating whose action is the best one.
Right. And so, like in my family, it's the person with the loudest voice wins. And that's what's going on here.
And that's not so good.
And that is not so good. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much it, is that this is just about fives are all about the challenge, and wands are ideas. They're the creativity, and it's like this is the creative fire that burns.
Yeah.
So that the ideas can come through.
Exactly. And in my deck, I haven't finished this card yet. I'm still in the rough sketches right now, but I'm thinking of doing 5 people like with 5 pens or paintbrushes or something, like all circling different things on a document, like crossed pens. To, instead of because it's ideas and action, but they all have different ideas and they all want to act differently. So they're crossing things out and circling things, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is I think how I'm gonna do it. I haven't finished that card yet, so we'll see.
Right. So this is just the challenge of ideas. This
Yeah.
So and again, it's the only time you need to worry about this card is if it's reversed, because then that means that.
Stalemate.
That the stalemate is now getting worse. That this could turn into a more serious situation.
Right.
I don't see generally based upon the cards around it. Sometimes it could be the lessening of hostilities, but in reality, because of this fire and what's burning, I generally tend to think of this as that, where this here everybody's being at least constructive and nobody's hitting each other. This is when things get bad.
Yep. So, we don't want that.
No. We try not to.
Yeah. So what about the Marseille?
The Marset. Okay.
So we've got the disruptive wand breaking through that X.
Yeah, so we have the stability of the 4 here, and then along comes the 5. I mean, it's just an insertion of another idea. It's like, but hold on, the 4s are already stable. We have the 4 legs on this chair. Why do we need a 5th one?
Right.
And this one's going to be better. It's like, what?
But it is. And you have to open your mind.
It's going to make it even more. What? No.
You have to open your mind, man.
You know what? I was happy with a stool. It had 3 legs. You convinced me on 4. What are you going to say? 7 next?
Why not?
So, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this kind of carries over because, again, obviously Pamela Coleman Smith was, and the Golden Dawn and everybody else. This is the original deck that they based everything on. And again, what it comes down to is the fact that 5s are the challenge.
Yep.
It's
challenging your perception of the world.
Exactly. And so you have this one coming through here.
Yep.
It's causing this red mark in the middle here. So, I mean, this is a wound. Before that happened, it's like there was not a red mark here. There was no wound here.
Right.
It was stable and everything else. You had the 4s, and that's what you needed. And then somebody says, this might be the best idea in the world. Aren't you going to answer that?
No.
That's Michael's phone.
Sorry.
That might have been important.
I'm in the middle of they'll have to leave a message.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry,
that might have been
that.
the president looking for us to do a reading for him because we're doing so good here.
Sorry, Joe.
Okay. So I mean, you'll notice that it's all just an extension of the, each card.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
So.
And then with Crowley's version, he calls this Strife. And
looks a lot like the other one.
It is very similar. But this, disruption of stability. I'm sorry. No, it's disruption of action because wands are action. So it's disruption of action. And he's got the mark of... okay, so this one he really identified with. Crowley strongly identified with Leo. So he strongly identified with this card. So he's got his mark of the beast on the right up here in that solar disc there.
It's got the mark of the beast.
It does. It's got
what is the mark of the beast?
So it's a 7-pointed star of Babylon.
7-pointed star of happiness.
Yeah, right in there, and right in the solar disc there. But you've got the fire emanating from the wands in the middle here, and it's all about the strife, but also connecting with Alistair's ego. So he had in his signature he would make his A of the name Alistair in the shape of the Leo sign, and there you see it right there. It's the circle and then the two snakes coming. So that's kind of like the Leo sign. He was all about, but being the showman and then that he was.
Exactly.
Of course, he's going to strongly identify with this one. But okay, but moving on to some stability now. Now we get to the stability of the discs, or the coins, as it were. And
look at what Pamela Coleman Smith did with this.
Yes.
She just made like the most decrepit, like life cannot get much worse.
She's got a lot going on in this one.
She has got a lot going on. They can't even see the window there.
Right.
The stained glass window looking all beautiful, and these people aren't even thinking about going in.
Not even looking up. Yep. So this is the Lord of Material Trouble. And this is Mercury and Taurus. So Mercury is the fast mind, and Taurus is slow and emotional. So that's a that's a disruptive combination there. So this is stability with adaptation, the power to adapt to problems when we accept help from others. But these guys aren't accepting the help. They're not getting the memo. So they're not looking up. There's this warm church that would be welcoming to them. But instead, they're too focused on their misery. They're just walking on by. Mm-hmm. They're a couple, but they don't look like a couple. They're both suffering on their own.
So how do we know they're a couple?
Well, it's two people. It could be one's man, one's woman. They could be together.
They could be.
But if they're not,
I never thought of them as a couple. I just thought of them as society.
Okay.
People walking by. But no, absolutely, they could be a couple. Yes,
could be. But I mean, even though they're together, they're not like, they're not helping each other out.
They don't even see each other.
Yeah. And so the couple's unaware, detached from each other, and from help from those who can help. They're not looking up. They're inspecting the thoughts and the emotions, but they're not reuniting with those that can help. They're missing the message. But here, I think this is one of the really cool things about this card.
Yeah.
There is the hope anchor right in there. So this, if you see that there's an anchor right in the stained glass, and the anchor, of course, stands for hope. That's one of the virtues, and so the hope is there, but they're just not looking.
And it's also kind of like the tree of life.
Absolutely.
Yes,
the tree.
so that's how I got. But yes, so I've always thought that bottom one did look like an anchor, but I also realized that this is definitely based on the tree of life.
Yeah.
And so with the 5 of coins, traditionally, people look at this as, so coins are the earth and coins are health, about material, they're about health. Yep. And so people look at this card as a negative health card.
Right. I mean, it's even
which is why she's got people having negative health.
Right. They're on crutches. This guy's got a bell around his neck. It could maybe a sign that he's a leper. So these are definitely sickly, outcast people. But the lesson here is that they don't have to be. The help is there, but wait, there's more. There's the spiritual. Helping is on the way if they just accept it. But we can be our own worst enemy because we're so focused on the misery or ourselves that we're not accepting to help from the outside, from others.
Right, and so I had a couple things that. As we were going through that, so 5s can represent the dark side of life. They represent all the ups and downs we've had to grow through to get to this point. It's a culmination of lessons from the first 4 cards. Either we accept the struggle of the 5s as the foundation to grow, or we stay stuck or move backwards. The preceding cards may have the answer, and until those cards are dealt with, we can't move forward. So again, we don't. The 5s don't just happen. We think they sneak up on us.
Yeah.
But the 5s is a culmination of the progress we need to make to get to the next level. 4s are so comfortable
right.
that you just want to sit in it
Right.
Even though it starts stinking.
Right.
Even though it starts stagnating. But
Yeah.
it's so comfortable. And here's where it's like, finally,
We're breaking through.
you know, and they may have held on to this way too long.
Yeah.
And then they become sickly, or their finances become sickly, or things happen. And we want to act shocked. What? I mean,
we could have seen this coming.
yeah, it's one of those things where, and sometimes, I mean, obviously things happen.
Right.
You know, disease happens.
The tower.
The finances happens. Things like that. So
Yeah.
yes, but a lot of times people just want to see this the negative side. And again, this is just what we have to let go of. We have to be that 4 of Cups.
Yeah.
I mean, that 5 of Cups. We need to be willing to mourn our loss.
Yeah.
And move forward.
And have hope. You know, have hope that we can get out of this, because we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so and the 5 is all about, like, when you think about the pentacle again, you've got the point going up, and that symbolizes individuality and spiritual aspirations. Downwards, it's the matter over spirit, and that's not good. But when the point's up, it's hinting at breaking through to the other side.
See, I need to just write my gosh darn book. So so with that, so where did I just have that? So speaking with the 5 points.
Yeah.
When we learn to crawl, we have the stability of being on all 4
All
legs.
fours. Yep.
Okay. But when we first learn to walk, we stand up on our 2 legs, and our arms assume the importance of keeping us stable.
Sure.
And our head is now raised high to become that 5th point in guiding us.
Right.
It's a new challenge. It's not easy at first, but there will be falls, bumps, and bruises. But this is a required skill we needed to move forward.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And it just makes me, and then the image I think of as you were reading that was Leonardo's, microcosm, macrocosm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the pentacle so obviously expressed through that art, but it's that same, message that
Because
you were giving through.
I mean, when we're crawling, you can't be more stable than that.
Right.
But you're not going to get many dates.
Right. It's time to grow up.
Stand up tall.
Yeah, exactly.
And take your lumps. You know?
Right.
Life is hard.
Life is hard.
And then you die. No, that's not it. No, life
is pain. Anyone who tells you differently is trying to sell something.
Yeah, and the other thing is
Princess
that
Bride.
life is hard. And once you realize that, it gets easier.
Exactly.
It's when you don't realize it and you just keep thinking, well, it can't get worse. It's like, no,
it can.
Generally, we make it worse.
Right.
When you get to the bottom of the hole, stop digging.
Exactly.
So.
Yes.
Okay. And so I guess we also have, you want to move to the Marseille?
Oh, yeah, we forgot. We skipped over the Marseille. I'm sorry.
No, we didn't.
Oh,
for the 5 of coins.
Oh, no, you're right. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
Let's do it.
And so again, here's where, this is where I focus on the fact, and so here's where I was thinking about this when I was meditating on it. This is why 5s are a source of power. 5s are a source of power. When energy can no longer be contained, it must explode. When trying to maintain the stability, for example, of an addiction or maintain the commitment of a relationship, over time the pressure to maintain that can become too much and our self-will collapses, and the stability of the 4s soon awakens chaos. Mm-hmm. So here we had the 4, and it's like, but this is like this seed that's just growing inside is saying, and that's why it's power. This is like a nuclear explosion that's slowly building. The 4 is holding it in, and we're self-willing it. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
This is the right thing. I'm supposed to be an accountant. I need to put away my guitars. I need to put away this. I need to do this and be the accountant for the rest of, which if you're an accountant, you like it, that's great. But I'm just using the example. It's like,
not for you. That's not your path.
This is showing that self-contained, and this is that nuclear reactor waiting to explode. And when it does, it's not going to be pretty. So this is a card of power.
Yeah.
That's waiting to explode.
But sometimes explosions are good.
Well, again, it's like until you clear away that space, it's like the tower.
Right.
The tower, it's that's just the light of truth clicking in.
Yep.
This is us holding ourselves in. And again, with the pips are the day-to-day cards. So it's
not the end of the world.
The trumps are the destiny
Exactly,
cards.
exactly.
The trumps, when you get that the
That's
tower,
big stuff.
that means something. But this is the day-to-day stuff that says, you know what, I'm going in, I'm working on this assembly line. You know, I don't need to explode, but this is how I feel.
Right. And you get through it.
Yes.
And with Crowley's Thoth card, we have so he's got talk about wheels on, this is wheels on a hubs. So these circles here are wheels, and these guys are the wheel hubs. So imagine they're going off, they're breaking the borders of the card. And then inside, now, of course, it's the upside down star again. So this is matter triumphing, and that's negative. That's no good. That's why the card's called worry. But all four elements are represented on the hubs, and all we need to do is flip it around, and it becomes positive. So that's right now. It's not so good. The spirit downwards not so good, but if the lesson is to flip it, and then we'll be able to move forward and stop worrying and and make progress. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's Crowley's.
That is Crowley. So what else you got? Anything else?
I think that's just about it.
Yeah. Other than my paragraphs of deep philosophical, which I'm not going to go into.
You sure?
No, I'm not going into.
I like deep and philosophical.
As a source of power to control, as a source of power and control, it becomes apparent as it increases its dominance. I put a question mark there. Has a source of power and control become apparent as it increases? So I mean, it's all about looking at the power, especially with the swords. The swords and the wands are the hard suits. Mm-hmm. It's the cups and the coins that are the soft suits. Yep.
So this is more soft, but I mean, but it's still, like I said, there's no positive and negative to any card, but this is more of a worry is usually
right. And so think of it like this: is that the hard suits with the fives, that is power dominance.
Right.
And then the soft suits with the coins and with the cups, that's loss of power.
Right.
That's loss of control.
Right.
So that's the negative side that we see on those.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well said.
Thank you. Okay. So here we are.
All right.
And I'm always wondering, it's like, and I say it each time, it's like, how the heck? I never thought we'd be able to spend an hour just on number fives.
Right. We just have a few minutes, but let's do a reading.
So what would you like to do a reading on? How'd you like to do this?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm open to suggestions.
I think swords because I think that it's just such an angry card.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you have here? I can grab my deck.
I've got mine if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll use your deck.
All right. Let me throw these back in. The other fives.
Keep the sword. There you go.
There you go.
And I'll let you shuffle this time because I always get in this mode where it's like, now I'm ready to do a reading.
Okay. All right. Let me put these away. So we'll put this guy, the Five of Swords, the egotistical guy.
Yep. So here we have our power and our dominance.
The Sword Collector.
It's a power card.
The Sword Collector.
And then we can see these guys here are actually like, they spilt their cups.
Right. Right. All right. So what shall we do for a reading?
So here's the situation is that if I'm going to use this card in a reading, it's because of maybe on one side where I'm coming from, it's like there's this power, this thing where it's like I know that I'm right, but I can't convince other people how. And it's like I come up with this. So
I'm thinking like,
how would you do it?
Yeah, I'm thinking. What? Because he's looking this way. He's the egotistical. He's not learning the lesson, and the five is all about the lesson is what what's holding you back, and is the way that he's facing.
Or this could be the actual ones having this. So if somebody identified with these guys here, it's like a loss of power. Here's the boss. It's like, they're always right, no matter what, whether they're right or wrong. They hold all the swords.
But what does he need to see? So this is
what is it to convince? What is it to finally take our power back?
And break
through.
So
here's the situation. This is where we're coming from.
There you go.
And this is what we need to do to move on to number 6 with the swords and be able to move past. Because right now we're stuck in a situation with this 5 here, with this person here. It has to always be right. It's not whether anybody else is happy. It's this person is going to be right regardless. And here's the lesson that he needs to... So either I need to quit my job or I need to figure out how to deal with it.
Right. So looking back is where we're coming from, where this guy's dwelling on, and this is what he needs to know. This is what is going to help him break through. It's what's going to help us be able to deal with him. Yeah. Or that, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right. So behind him, the Ace of Wands reversed. So that is very appropriate. Ace of Wands upright is the spark of something new. You got the new energy, new action. When it's reversed, it's like the candle has been snuffed. You're at a stalemate. And that's very appropriate for this guy. And so here we have our egomaniac. Yeah. Things are not even able to start, progress, or anything like that. He's making everybody miserable, and this proves it right here. Why? Yep. Because there is no starting. There is no moving forward, because... It's his way or the highway. And so his plan is just bad from the beginning, but he's such an egomaniac that... He won't admit it. He can't admit it because he doesn't have the self-esteem, the true self-esteem enough to say, I was wrong. So he's going to make everybody... And so now we understand that it's like... This ego, so this guy here, he knows it's wrong. Right. He knows it's not going forward, but he's going to sit here and make people do this anyway because he can. And so, what does he need? What do we need? Okay, so we've got... So we have the 6 of Cups reversed. And so we have a progression of 1, 5, and 6. Yeah. And the next step here is saying that it's like... we can't rely on the past. We can't rely on people and things like that. We need to just make the decision in the middle now, because where we're coming from is not working. Where we're going is not working. Right. This is dwelling on the past, and when it's upright. This card is... You could have had support. You could happy memories. You could have found support. You could have found anything like that under the sun. But this is saying no. But reversed, there is no support. There's nothing. So for the querent sitting across, it's like, you know what? Yeah. It's not going to go anywhere. No matter how bad you feel or anything like that. I know you want it. This person's not going to change. Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is that it's not going to change. So the only thing that can be changed is you. And how you feel about this. Right. So either you walk away, move on, or you understand that you're getting a paycheck, and when you sign your paycheck, that's a contract between you and your boss that says, I accept what you want to happen. Right. So if you're going to accept that paycheck with your signature, that's everything that goes with it. Exactly. Or you just move on because it's not changing. The end. Give me my money. Right. And that's just it. It's not just the memories of the past, the support. You're not gonna have any. No support. You're not gonna have nothing. You're not gonna have any of that. You can hope for it, but no. But so you need to be strong. You need to confront the situation, but do it in all reality, the problem is not the boss. Do you know what the problem is? Is your attitude towards the boss. The problem comes back to you. Exactly. It has this is you, and this is just the uncontrollable. This is your excuse. Yeah. You can't control other people. You can only control yourself. Exactly. So might as well move on from the situation, because that's the only way forward. That's the only way to break through
to gain your own power.
Exactly.
Right now, you've given this person power because it's a power card.
Right.
You've given them power. And so to take back your own power, you're going to have to take your power back from this person. So.
Right. That works.
And acceptance, I mean, this may be the job. And you may have to just accept it, and if you're if you can accept it, that's great. But make a choice,
right? And it might be
poop or get off the pot.
It might be worth accepting. It's something.
Now we're getting off. Now we're gonna cure this person.
To have stability.
Let's lay some more cards out.
To have stability is sometimes good, but not always good. So you have to make that choice depending on.
Yeah, and this would be an awesome reading now to be able to start doing some larger readings.
Yeah, I want to see more cards.
Now we've been able to explain to the person who the real problem is because they wanted to focus, I have a problem with this person here.
Right.
And they are my problem. It's like now that we have the folks, now we've actually, because if you don't know what the problem is, you won't know the solution when you see it.
Exactly.
And this would be a perfect spread to say.
What's some advice? Can I get an advice card? I'd love to add some additional cards.
This isn't what I want to hear. Lay out some more cards. Tell me what I want to hear.
It's just usually with the tarot, it just reinforces that just a little bit more. But
anyway,
yeah.
So that was
another
awesome.
Time.
Yes, that was an awesome hour again.
Always a pleasure, Jamie.
Man, that was great. So we're going to be doing the
sixes next
week. So you can find Michael at.
Oh yes, indeed. So artieforever.com or Offbeat Artwork on Twitch. I'm on Offbeat Artwork. Or offbeatartwork.com. We'll get to my main website. And then for both of us, we like to hang out on Facebook.
Facebook at the MyTarot group.
MyTarot.
And to get there, if you go to MyTarot.org, there's a link to the Facebook group. There's a link to the YouTube page where all these are housed. We've cleaned up the playlist.
We're trying
that you
to
can see them all in order. Yeah, it's still an effort.
Yep.
But we've got them all listed there in order. So you can go back to the past ones, and we're thinking about redoing the first ones because they were our first attempts, and we did not have quite the gear that we do now.
Right, they're still good. They're still worth watching, but we might do a 2.0 version of some of those guys.
Yeah, exactly. So that they at least kind of
look nice.
Yes. So with that, thank you all again. I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week. I will be at I'll be doing the morning reflections again. I do that. I've been doing that now for over 6 months, every day, 5 days a week.
Half a year.
Half a year.
So yeah,
actually 7 months. 7 months every day. Haven't missed a day.
That's awesome.
Monday through Friday.
That's super fantastic. So yeah, definitely find Jamie there and find us both there and comment.
And if you need artwork, buy his cards once he's done with them.
Right.
Otherwise, that's our self-promotion.
But the more comments that you leave and chat with us there, the better. So
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you all again, and take care, and we will see you later
next week. Yeah.
Next week, tomorrow, and every other day. Bye.
Bye.